Family-centered, Christian-based, grown in the heart of the Midwest. Talking to people from all walks of life.
The world needs more encouraging stuff, honest conversation. I always put my biblical spin on everything because that's my foundation. My name's Bubba. What is up?
I don't even know if this is funny to you, but our 3-year-old son, for whatever reason, he always talks about things. He calls them they. So he'll be like, "Hey mom, can I have some of they?" And we'll be pouring, cereal or a snack or something, and everything is they. I don't know if that's something. I don't know. I can't think. You're gonna have to help me. That's like his new thing. And then it was only funny because on the TV they were doing the King James version, and they were doing like the thee and thou, and I thought maybe I don't know. It was just so funny because I was like, is he getting it from this? Because he just says it all the time. It's like, yeah, but. It's not funny.
Props to the people who can read the King James. I get it. That's like going back as far in the English as you can, but I just can't do it. I can't do it.
It's a lot.
The new King James or a little bit newer. I like the New American Standard, but man, King James, one of the guys I'm in a Bible study with, whenever he reads, it's his turn to read. It's like, oh, here comes the King James. And it's like, man, you want to try? Do you want to try something else, bro? Like, I'll buy you the Bible if you want to try something easier to read.
That's so funny.
But it's accurate. It's
That's
old.
Good.
So, oh man, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Already in progress. This is gonna be part 2 with Chynna Cochran, founder of Natan, the best pro-life jewelry company that makes beautiful jewelry that you can swim, sweat. I messed it up. The best pro-life American-made jewelry company in the country that you can swim, sweat, and shower in without tarnishing. She gives 20% back to Pro-Life Pregnancy Resource Center. So, that's what caught my eye. That's why we have her on today. That helps mom and babies both. You can take care of both, guys. Don't let the headlines fool you. Don't let the news fool you. They're biased. You can take care of mom and baby. Let's meet their needs. And that's what Natan's doing with her company, because Natan means give, but Natan is also a, what'd you call it? What's the big word?
Palindrome.
Palindrome, where if you spell it backwards, it's the same forward. So it's also give and receive. I love it. But you're giving before you receive when you buy her stuff. So in the first part of our episode, we talked about the ups and downs and the trauma in her life. And we even had to fast forward through some of it. But my goodness, let me tell you, God is good. God is in the healing business, no matter what your situation in life is like. But if you want to hear her story, go back to part 1 and listen to it. It's very good, very encouraging. This week, we're going to get into her segments. We're going to have some laughs, but we're going to get serious at the end. You know how we do it on part 2. That's kind of the format. But hopefully we're going to encourage you. Speaking of encouragement, you guys know I always give a couple shout outs quick on these part 2s. I always start them off this way. So let me give a shout out to Jim Gillespie and the Steve Brown Art Center in Jessup, Iowa. He's got that vision to build this house for artists to come and live in and work on their craft, and they could live there rent free as long as they take care of the building and grounds. So if that's your thing, support him on Facebook, Steve Brown Art Center. Number 2 would be Tony Thomas. You guys know Phyllis Robertson Thomas, Tony Thomas. If you're looking for some amazing artwork to spruce up that home, office, or cabin of yours, you got to check out TonyThomasArt.com. Good buddy of mine. Love this guy. He's a good guy. He paints everything from nature scenes to cityscapes, biblical portraits, southern staples, all kinds of good stuff. Go to TonyThomasArt.com and get you some amazing art. And let's get to the most encouraging thing I think going on in the country right now. Former podcast guest, Pastor Corey Brooks, the rooftop pastor there in Chicago, walking across America. He's about to get back at it, raising the final funds for that Leadership and Economic Opportunity Center on the south side of Chicago. This dude is trying to bring generational change to one of the worst neighborhoods in the entire country. So go to projecthood.org, check it out, follow him on social media, and support him in any way that you can. Now let's get to part 2 of this episode. Welcome back, Chynna. You ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Do you remember what you chose for segments?
I should, but I don't. We have 4 children. I'm thinking I should have prepared a little bit better for this. I did when I first read them, but let's do this.
You'll be good. You'll be good. The magic of editing, man. It doesn't matter. We got to stop and think. The audience will never know. Here we go.
Yeah.
Segment number 1, the Pastor Tommy segment. This is that former pastor I was telling you about, good old boy from Kentucky. He was a big movie guy back when Netflix. I did hit record, didn't I? I did.
Yes,
I
yeah, we're
heard it.
recording.
Okay. He was a big movie guy back when Netflix was like mail order type stuff. Like you'd have a queue online of your movies that you wanted, and they'd mail you one, and then once you were done with that, you'd mail it back, and they'd send you the next one. He was a big movie guy, and he said he hoped that when he got to heaven, that there was this movie theater room that you could sit in, and you could tell God, "I want to see this moment." And he would just play it
Mm,
for you and show it. It could have been biblical. It could have just been historical. It could have been a moment in your life. It could have been anything you wanted. He just hoped that room existed. So my question to you for this segment is, if that room exists, when you get to heaven, what are you going to tell God to show you?
if I could see anything in time from forever, I would absolutely choose when Jesus rose from the dead, and he was there, with his disciples, and some of them at first didn't know who he was, and just the moments from that until he ascended into heaven.
Hmm.
I would do anything to be able to just hear him talk about the experience. He talked about what it was
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
die. He talked about the pain and the suffering, but why it was worth it, and where he went after. And
Yeah.
just I would love that, because it's so short in the Bible, but I would just love to hear his perspective, the amount of love he must have had. I mean,
Yeah.
I could
Uh,
cry just thinking about it.
Great answer. I don't think anyone said that, the time between the resurrection and his ascending into heaven. That's a great answer. Yeah, because by then, the disciples still didn't quite get it. They were like, "Oh my goodness, he's gone, he's dead." They were scared, they were cowering, and next thing you know, it's like, "No, you guys are about to go set the world on fire." Man, it's yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Good
Well,
choice.
when I saw that question, I actually, like, the day before, I had been thinking about him, that period of time, and
Hmm.
I started to weep. I was just imagining him explain that, what he did and why he did it, because they knew he was going to do it, but it wasn't real until it was real, right?
Hmm.
And I truly wept. I was crying, and I was thinking what I would do for that moment. And then I saw the question, and I thought, "Oh, I know the answer to
Yeah,
that question."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people like us that have stuff in our past, choices we're ashamed of. I don't know about you, but it helps me look at people and say, Jesus did that for them too, whoever they are. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
uh, that's what I
Yes.
love, and if you can convey that to somebody, that like, yes, he wants you to change, he wants you to repent, but he loves you first and foremost. Whether you do or
Yes.
not, he loves you. That it doesn't matter. But man, you
Right.
you got to get to that point where you just surrender. Okay, let's go. Let's go
Definitely.
to number two. Gen Z slang. This could be fun with a white girl
Oh
from
my
the South.
gosh.
This should be
Oh my
good.
goodness. I forgot I chose this. Oh,
Yes. And I just got
okay.
it updated. I had my son down here this morning. I was like, give me some new, fresh Gen Z slang. So
No
we did.
way.
How do you think you're going to do?
Okay. No, I'm gonna flunk. I am not gonna. I have watched my friends, like even Caitlin Wheeler and Riley Gaines, they've done and said things that I didn't fully understand. These are people that I have, in contact with, like actually having to stand face to face, and I've had to go after and Google what something meant. I don't
Oh,
know. So we'll see. I don't
oh,
know.
that's
Sorry in
good.
advance, everyone. Yeah.
That's good. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
don't know what that meant. Can you? No, you're just gonna say, I'll just smile and nod. I'll look it up later. Okay, we'll start out.
Yeah.
We'll start out what I think is kind of easy. Mid, mid.
Mid.
If something
Okay.
is mid,
Then it's kind of average.
bing, I'm gonna have a sound
Okay.
effect in here.
Okay.
You
Good.
got it.
Okay.
Nice. All right,
Good.
1 for 1. Riz. Riz.
No idea. I can't even. I've heard that, and I actually thought it was probably a swear word, so I didn't even look
Okay.
into it.
No,
Okay, is it not a bad
this
word?
one I can meet Gen Z halfway because it's
Okay.
short for charisma. Like you got it. You got that it factor. You got
Okay.
that charm. Okay. You got a little riz. Okay.
Okay,
From
good to
here
know.
on, it gets a little rough. Aura.
Okay. Okay,
Aura.
well, I have heard people say this one, and I've heard, like, young people say this one and talk about, like, they have an aura. Is that what you're talking about? Where it's around
No.
them, like they care? Nope. Oh
Well,
gosh.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we grew up hearing aura like, yeah, you've got this aura about you or something, but now they're using it as like it's your reputation. So it does kind of have the same meaning, but back
Okay.
then it was a spiritual sense. Now it's just like it's your cool meter. Like you got point
Okay.
or a, reputation points, I guess. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
Failed
funny.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cooked.
Okay. I do think that one means that if someone has said something to you and embarrassed you in a way, no,
Yeah, that could
is
be
that
used in
it?
that
I don't
way.
know.
It
That's where
means
I've seen it. Do
like
I
you're
not?
you're
I don't
done
know.
for. You're in trouble. Like
Okay,
you,
you're cooked.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, if you do something, yeah, it's like, yeah, not you're cooked, man. Like you're gonna get it, kind of thing.
Okay.
All right,
I
let's
didn't
keep
know
going.
that.
Chopped. Chopped. This is a popular one. I hear it all the time.
Well, you would assume it means like there's no hope for you if you've been chopped, but I don't know why. I don't know why they would say that. What does it mean?
Chopped simply means you don't look good. Like if you rolled out of bed this morning and got on camera, clearly you took some time, got yourself ready. If you're chopped, no, it's
Oh
no
no.
effort into your appearance. You're not looking good today. All right. Here we go. This one's funny. This one's fun to say. Delulu.
Okay, that one is hilarious. And I think I heard that kids are naming their kids that. I really hope it's not
I
true.
hope
Yeah.
not.
But it means delusional.
Oh, she got another one. We'll get that
Yeah.
sound effect going. Yes, sir. All right.
That's
Glaze.
funny.
Glaze.
I thought that was a bad word when I was a kid. Um, I don't I don't
Oh
know what
God.
that. Nope, I have no clue.
Glaze is like I think it's when you're like really trying to impress somebody, when you're trying to, or maybe it's like you're
Okay.
showing them, you're glazing them, you're really bragging them up, or yeah, so it's
Oh,
not
I
something you're
see.
doing, you're
Okay.
glazing on them, you're just bragging on them or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They would say I do that about my husband because
Oh,
I'm
there you
always
go.
talking about him. Okay, so
There you
no,
go.
I'll keep an ear out for that
Yeah,
one.
I challenge you this tomorrow in church. Say
Yes.
something like, "Hey, I don't mean to glaze on Patch," and see what the
Stop
people
it.
say.
They already think I'm a teenager at church. Like I was walking by and the teenagers were like, "Whoa, we thought you were a teenager." And I was like, "I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, but
Uh,
thank you." So I'll
I'll
try them.
take it.
I'll see what they think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. All right. Oh, we can stop there. That's plenty. That's
That
good.
is funny.
All
That's
right, let's move.
hilarious.
Let's move to another more serious segment here. This one, I love this one. This is the stop complaining and do something. People,
Mm.
you graciously gave your age in part one. I wasn't gonna. I guess I did kind of ask for it, but most women don't
You
have to
said,
do
"How
that.
old are you?"
I did. I
You said,
did.
"How?"
I just meant to refresh people, but I should have known. Don't do that to the ladies because that's not appropriate or whatever. But people our age and older, much older, every older generation does it to the younger generation. They just complain about them. They say, "Oh, you got it made today," or whatever. And I'm just like, today you hear all this stuff about Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and we complain and we say all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, enough with that. That doesn't help. Okay. So the stop complaining and do something is, if every teenager in America was in your youth group that you're leading, stop complaining
Mhm.
about them. What's your message to them? What would you do? What would you say?
Yeah, I would love an opportunity to have every American youth in my room and I'd be able to just share with them. I would start by telling you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the way that you might have felt from people either in my generation or who came before me, where you felt that we were nagging you or not appreciating you or not seeing you as a part of the bigger puzzle that God has obviously placed at this time. And I would say that I see the value in you. I see that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I see that the purposes in you are not the purposes in me, and that there are things, including new technologies, including new medical research, including, I mean, anything and everything that you are going to come up with, that you are going to be a part of because you were born for such a time as this. That if we could all learn to work together and recognize that we were put on this planet for this time, that I need you, that you need me, and I need the people that came before me and everyone in between, that if we could just see that we should see eye to eye,
Yeah.
that we do need one another, that we are a part of what God's doing, That's what I want you to hear. Like, you are a part of something so much bigger, and don't believe the lie that you're not old enough, you're not strong enough, you're not brave enough, you're not cool enough, you don't have a business, you don't have an Instagram following, you don't have connections with so
Yeah.
and so. None of that matters. What matters is building relationships with every generation right now, because each one of us needs each one of us.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Man, sounds like you like wrote out the lesson plan for that youth group meeting right there. That was good. That was really good.
Oh,
I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Okay. Getting to know you segment. This is non-voluntary. This is a segment that every guest has to do, but you get to choose the questions to help people get to know you. And from that list was quite big. Let's get into the ones you picked right here. Some of these are new content. So for our listeners, you'll notice some of these are new. Chynna picked them. So this is our first time out with some of these. If there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play you or anybody in your family, but specifically you?
If I could have someone play the role of me specifically, it would be Chynna Phillips. I don't know if any of you know her, but I was actually named after her. She and I have a lot of similarities. When we stood next to each other and took a photo, people actually thought she was my mother. She walked in the world for a long time. She was famous for being a model and a singer in the 80s. And then she's super beautiful, sweet soul. I actually ended up meeting her because she came to Christ and formed this Christian band. And I met her at a small Baptist church in my college town. And so I think Chynna Phillips would be a great person to play that role, because she not only has the idea of like the world and living in the world, but she would have this come to Christ reference and ability to walk it out. And we have similarities in our physical appearance, our height, and different things. So it'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you would just Google the Gen Z slang you didn't know when you were. I just Googled her right now, and I'm seeing. Okay, yeah, I've seen her before. I know who she is.
Yeah, she's cool. She's a cool one. And I had really blonde hair when we met, so we literally, like, at me in college next to each other, we look so similar. I have to find that picture.
Oh,
and
you
dig it
do.
out
You have the same facial feature
Isn't that
structure.
interesting?
Yeah, I can
I
see
know.
it. Oh, cool.
It's very interesting.
Good answer. What
I
about
was like,
Patch? Who you got an
oh,
idea? Who
well,
would you want to play the husband?
Steve Jobs, but it's too late.
Because yeah,
I
see the
see
similarity.
it.
I see it
I'm like, I tell him that all the time. It's kind of our joke, but yeah, so we'd have to
in both
we'd have to
mind
do
and
that.
looks. I assume you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
absolutely. So Patch is so highly intelligent that sometimes it's to his own detriment, because he won't even realize he's not present. Like, he will be so engrossed in this new technology and listen to what I'm building. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But then, yeah, there are so many things about the way that they have lived lives. So yeah, for sure.
I like it. Okay, Chynna Phillips and Steve Jobs. All right.
But yeah.
Let's see. One thing you think is over or underrated?
Underrated for sure in our day is getting married, having kids, and enjoying the life that you have.
Yep.
It is the most precious gift in the world. I can't imagine that. I can't even comprehend that we live in a world that's trying to convince us otherwise. It's so underrated. I wake up in the morning and there's nothing that brings me more joy than knowing my husband's there and that my children are happy and healthy. It is the greatest gift.
I know.
The greatest gift.
I know. And the stats flesh that out. The happiest people are married couples. You know what I mean? If you're going to wait till you're ready and you can afford everything, you're never going to have kids. You're never going to settle down. Yep. It's just going to get harder and harder. It is. But doing it together I think we're seeing it kind of swing back. Honestly, I see kids not moving away from their parents. It used to be the thing. You go to college, you move off, you do your own thing. Now it seems like families are staying closer. Gardening and sourdough and homesteading is like becoming trendy. Homeschooling is not frowned upon anymore. Now you find out what's going on in public school, and homeschool kids, if you do it right, can come out far ahead, even faster. They can graduate earlier. I think you're right. Yeah, we need to value those other methods, those other things. It's highly underrated being a family. Next one, if you had theme music when you entered a room, you walked in strutting, what's that song going to be?
Okay, this is going to sound really worldly and self-absorbed, but there's a reason for it. Isn't She Lovely? Okay. There's a song called Isn't She? The reason why is because my maiden name was Lee and my middle name is Love. So when I was in high school and college, people would actually play that song when I came in the room.
That's why you said that. Chynna Lovely.
Chynna Lovely.
Okay, I got it. Oh, wow.
Just
good
for
one.
fun. That was my fun one, yeah.
That is great. That was great.
Yeah.
See, I can include that song on social media, but on
Oh,
the
cool.
podcast platforms, you can't do it. They'll flag you right
Yeah.
away. Somebody's got to pay
Oh,
that person
man.
some money, whoever did that song. Okay.
Man.
What is something or someone good that you're following on social media right now? It could be something that you've always followed, but I more like something recent, something new that kind of got thrown into your feed that's just really good, that you enjoy it a lot.
Well, it's kind of an old but new. So Riley Gaines started her own podcast, her own show as
Hmm.
well. I don't know if you
Hmm.
saw that. So
Yep.
that's like the new thing for when you asked that. That was the first thing that came to my mind is just because she's a fresh face. She's also providing she's providing a perspective for the young girls and even guys and even
Yeah.
older us
Yeah.
that are older than
Yeah.
her. She's providing us with information without any drama or emotion to it. She's just going, hey, this is what's going on, and I really appreciate that about her. She's using her gifting and the attention that's been put on her to educate everyone and to keep us in a place of not pulling us emotionally, just, hey, this is what's going on. Have you thought about
Mm,
this? And I
sure.
appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
love that because my big thing is ever since 2020, I realized the experts aren't necessarily the ones that have the answer. Like a necktie doesn't make you an expert. Like I said, give me
No.
somebody with real world experience. Riley lived that whole situation. So
Yeah.
let's hear from people like that who know what it was like to race against a biological male and what it's doing,
Mm.
what all the background info that was in that didn't make it in the news right away. Like, bro,
Yeah.
you don't do that. Let's hear from the people who experienced it. Let them talk. And while we're on the subject, I'll make one quick statement. I saw a reel of Jillian Michaels the other day. She's got a podcast now and she's talking. And, from everything I can tell, right, she's homosexual but she is wanting to do kind of what we're doing, have the conversations, talk about the
Mm.
issues, agree on what you agree on, agree to disagree on what you disagree. And she was getting some hate. So she did a post and she said people are just bashing her because she's not telling the other side. And she had to do a
Mm.
post where she was pretty fired up and she said, well, you know what? It's not my fault. I'm reaching out to those people that disagree with me. They're not coming on. The people with the more progressive liberal mindset do not want to come on and have a conversation. And I was like, well, there's your hang up right there. Charlie Kirk said it best. When you don't exchange idea, bad things happen. Bad things happen.
Mhm.
You've got to be willing to hear the other side. You've got to be willing to debate idea. It's the only way to move forward. So shout out to her for doing that and Riley Gaines for doing that in the right way.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
favorite
great.
Christian movies. Let's go. What's in the library in the Cochran household?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. That's one of my favorite questions because a lot of my friends don't have access to clean movies, so they
Yeah.
either just don't watch anything or they end up putting things inside of them that they don't want to watch. And I mean, I've done that. I've been guilty of that in the past. We actually will turn it off if we're in the middle of a show, and we'll have to turn it off. We got to a point where we realized we didn't want the apps on our TV because we were wasting money on these apps that were just polluting us and making us
Yeah.
feel like worse after watching them. So
Yeah.
we paid for Angel and we paid for Pureflix, and it was so worth it because we can watch anything on either of those
Yeah.
apps, and we don't walk away feeling defeated or frustrated or annoyed or like guilty or the feelings you feel when you don't really want to watch something that you
Yeah.
maybe committed to watch. So all of those two channels I would absolutely recommend,
Okay.
and yeah, highly recommend both of those.
I think we're about to start the Chosen series again. Me and my wife went through like the first couple seasons when they were shooting
Yes.
season 3, and then we stopped and we never got back into it. And now I hear they're
Yes.
about to like film the last 2 seasons or they're filming the second. And I was like, we got to get back into it. We got to finish it. We got to start it and get the whole family to watch it. So
I
definitely good
love the
stuff.
Chosen. Did you watch the David movie too, the
No, I
animated
haven't
one?
seen the David one yet.
Oh
Man,
my
have I heard
goodness.
good things.
Seriously, an adult like my husband loves it so much, like he literally will sing the songs from the movie because they
Yeah.
impacted him so much. There's a song about shalom and the peace of God,
Yeah.
and that's something that we with mental health you can battle with. And so shalom, he'll walk around our house singing shalom, and
Oh
it's from the
man.
David movie, and I'm like, God, thank you so much. You never know how much impact a kids movie that they put thought and biblical reference into, that it's biblically sound for the, I mean, I'm pretty sure, if not, it's like 99.9. Like they did a
Sure.
really good job.
Sure.
So that's what I highly recommend. That it doesn't matter how old you are. That's a
Yeah.
great movie to watch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've heard. For an animated movie, a lot of adults have found David really, really well done. And now that there's money behind some of these, the production is so well. It's not the old
That's
days
true.
where it's very
No.
beginner level. So,
Yeah.
all right. Can you remember your first car or your worst car?
Yeah. My first car was my worst car.
Okay.
It was a 1986, I think, Crown Victoria. So you
Okay.
know that, yes. So we literally, it was black. The kids at school literally called it Men in Black. And that thing was, I mean, as big as this room. I feel like it was just, it was huge, and it would bounce, when you drive. It was, I think it was used as a cop car before it was mine.
Yeah.
Basically, someone that my brother was dating, they were getting rid of the car for very cheap, and I was meant to be given a car for my birthday as a whole thing, and I didn't. So I think they gifted me with that car. They were Christians, so that was one of those things, and I appreciated it, even though it was the worst thing and it was just so embarrassing. I made it fun. I remember even my coach went and like shoved newspaper. I would leave it on lock 24/7. I
Sure.
just oblivious. My coach shoved newspapers into my entire car, and my teammates, they had filled my car from like the ground up. So I came out and I'm like, so what's been about? I just panicked because all I saw was white. I'm like, something happened. And they were all around thinking it was funny. And back then you didn't film everything you did. Everyone just
Right.
laughed and you enjoyed the moment. Right. And so they're all sneakily like hiding, and they jump out and they're laughing and they help me clean it up. But it was just one of those cars. I mean, everyone would pile in. I'm not sure that there were enough seatbelts sometimes, but I was the driver and I would take them to the meets in that car. And people from my high school will remember that car. Yeah.
The Crown
Men in Black.
Vic. I love it.
That's right.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay. Most embarrassing moment. Are you willing to share your most embarrassing moment?
Yeah, I think so, because I haven't been embarrassed as an adult. I was embarrassed as a kid, and it just stuck with me. And it's also a really good teaching moment, I think, for us as Christians. So basically, I was at a Disciple Now weekend the senior year, I think, of high school that I was telling you about, where I was really not doing well. And I went to one of those weekends with some of the kids that went to church, and the youth minister pulled me up on stage, and she had a slideshow of photos that came up. There's 300 students here, and they all, I mean, a lot of them go to school with me, or they're my best friends. I know all of them at least, and I'm known by them, and they, reputation. Anyway, they have a slideshow up behind me, and they're going through all the slides. So she says, Chynna, I just want you to tell me a story for each slide. And I'm a great storyteller. I'm a writer. I've actually written a book. I don't know if I told you that. I love to write. Writing is my gifting. It's been since I was 8. It's how I escaped a lot of the trauma. And so I was excited. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So this little girl here, her name is Sarah, and I'm going through and I'm doing all of them thinking it's great. I was like, they're using my giftings at DNL. This is so cool. And the youth minister looked at me and she said, now that, my friends, is what we call a really good liar. And everyone went quiet. And I was a liar back then. I didn't know the Lord. I lied before I came to him, and I actually don't lie anymore, ever. I'll like die if I lie. And that moment though, the whole room went quiet because they all knew me. And I just remember like slowly walking off the stage, and I didn't hear a thing after that. The rest of the day, I was like, okay, hide. Don't be seen.
Wow.
You're a liar. And that's embarrassing. Like that, as a Christian, for us as Christians to know there's a time and place for everything. You can't just, the same youth minister called me some names that I had never been called before. And so I had no heart to really want to be involved. I don't know that, you just look back and you're like, we have to, as Christians, protect even the ones in our church that are so far gone, that are not walking with the Lord very clearly. And obviously I wasn't. How do we guard them in a way of letting them come to Christ? Because if they're there in the first place, they want something. We all have a gap, a hole where we need Christ, right? And so if you see someone in your congregation, in your youth group, at your school, and they just seem really far off, I challenge you with all of my heart to stop and just listen to that person. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to tell them what they're doing wrong. Most likely they know. Just be present for them, because that's going to be more impactful and more loving than calling out their sin, shouting at them, and humiliating them intentionally in front of their peers. So
I think
embarrassing.
that's awful. I think we could agree. Yeah, the best Christmas pageant ever really showed how you should handle that situation. Yes, it's hard when
Yeah.
kids from the wrong side of the tracks come in, but bro, it's our job to lead them to Jesus, not push them away. My goodness.
Yeah.
But when they're older, then we can take those stances about open, unrepentant sin in the church. But when they're young and they're
Yes.
searching, that's not the time. Lead them to Jesus. Come on. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to have some words with that youth pastor. Let me tell you. Okay.
I know.
Near death experience. Have you had a brush with death or just the most dangerous?
No, I've had many brushes with death, unfortunately. They're all the same. They're all the exact same thing. So basically, I had multiple infections that led to kidney infections that led to sepsis. And
Ooh.
so it happened 3 times back to back. And then the third time I ended up getting pneumonia and I was positive that time I was hospitalized, obviously, all 3 times. Actually, it happened one time before that, but I didn't know what was going on and I couldn't convince the doctors I was dying. So they just ended up medicating me like with antibiotics that weren't working. And so for like months on end, I ended up on antibiotics and didn't and just thank God like I eventually the infections cleared themselves, but I would just be walking around like physically dead, like not
Yeah.
well. But then those 3 times I was hospitalized. After I figured out what was going on, I was hospitalized. And then the third time when I had pneumonia, I was laying in the hospital bed. I'd been there for maybe 3 days and I couldn't breathe. And I was just like gasping for air and I was crying and our 2 babies were at home. My husband had just left the hospital and I was trying to cry, but like all the physical in me was gone. Like I was hooked up to everything and they were hopeless. The way they were talking to me was just like, we're working on it. It wasn't anything hopeful. There was nothing to like,
Yeah.
hey, we should clear this up in 2 days. It was like, China, we're not seeing anything. You're staying put. And I just remember gasping for air and I called out to God and I was like, God, I want to stay here for the babies because I had 2 young daughters at the time. I was like, I just want to stay here for them. I promise I'll be the best mom ever. You know how you pray to God when you're like in desperate
Oh
situation.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'd been talking to the whole time, but in that moment, I'm like internalized. I'm like, please just rescue me. Just save my body. I will do whatever you ask me to do. I will obey your commands. And I was walking with him, but still, it was just this desperate need for him.
Yeah.
I actually had this like bright light that I saw, and I don't even care how bizarre it sounds, and I don't know if I had fallen asleep into a dream. I don't know what happened, but I had this bright light. I saw the physical like shape of our Lord, and after that, and I woke up. A nurse was beside me. And she said, "Hey, we're going to run some bloods. Things are looking really good." And I was like,
Yeah.
I alerted. I woke up and I was like, I just prayed that. And then all of a sudden I'm asleep and, envisioning this thing. And I'm like, he's here, like he's with me. And I knew without a doubt in my mind, I couldn't deny him that he rescued me. So
Yeah.
I believe in my heart that he showed me that so that I couldn't say later, oh, the doctors, I was healed and I moved on.
Yeah.
It was no, my Lord was with me. I
Yeah.
prayed earnestly. That was a part of his plan anyway. He was just getting me on board in that prayer like he does. Like
Yeah.
prayer is really just us agreeing with his plan on earth, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll never forget it because he was there and he rescued me and allowed me to live when I shouldn't have lived. Like sepsis
Yeah.
is scary. And if
Oh
you've
yeah.
ever had it
Yeah.
once, I don't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Keep yourself healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, a lot of people don't make it out of that. That doesn't end well.
Nope. When you're in a situation, I've been in a lot of dangerous situations because of my past and because of the things that I was born into. I've been into a lot of really risky and dangerous situations. And something that I can guarantee you when you're in those situations, always call out to the Lord. He will be there. I don't care. Like we said earlier, I don't care how far gone you are. I don't care what decisions you made. I don't care how sinful you are. If you call out to the Lord and you're in a desperate situation, he is going to respond lovingly to you because he's been waiting for you all along.
Yeah.
So although sepsis was terrible and I was walking with the Lord when I had it all 4 of those times, I know without a doubt in my mind that he was the one to rescue me and heal my body. And he'll do the same for you. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm not saying it's always going to look the same,
Yeah.
but he wants to meet you there in that desperate place
Yeah.
and that
No, that's it.
near
You
death
nailed it.
experience.
You nailed it right there. Yeah. Chris Pratt was kind of open about that, except he wasn't sick. It was his kid. It's like, Lord,
Yeah.
if my kid pulls through this, like I'll give you everything I got. And I think he's Catholic, maybe. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
he's pretty vocal about Jesus and about his faith. And I was like, well, that regardless on maybe we agree or disagree theologically, he's kind of living up to that. He really is. And being in
Yeah.
Hollywood, that's not the easiest thing to do. The other thing I think
No.
of is I don't know where they get this information, but most people on their deathbed, they're not thinking about, the main things we think about in life today. They're thinking about these two main things: their relationship with God in the
Mhm.
afterlife, and like their family or their legacy. What are they leaving behind? That's it. You're not thinking
Mhm.
about cars, money, career, hobbies, the stuff we fill our lives with. Now, they're literally thinking about God and their relationship with him, whether they are a Christian, whether they're an atheist, whether they're agnostic, whatever it may be. Everyone, when you get face to face with your mortality, it's going to pop in there. From what I
Yep.
understand, it's going to pop in there. So you might as well
Yep.
give him a look now and be certain
Yes.
that, hey, if he brings that ultimate healing, which means you're getting rid of this body, you can know where you're going. So that's the kind of hope he
That's good.
offers, and I love it. All right, last one. This is the one that the spouse of every guest loves for me to leave in there, because who doesn't like being glazed? Is that the right
Yeah.
way I'm using it? I don't know. We'll see. What is one thing you love or appreciate about your husband, Patch?
Everything. I love him so much. I've actually never felt the love that I have for person ever like I have for Patch. It's like so deep in the Lord. I can feel it's from Christ himself. It's the way that I see Christ loving me is the way I feel about Patch. So no matter what he's going through, no matter what difficult times we've had, I
Yeah.
have this reality that I'm married to the smartest man I've ever met.
Yeah.
I mean, if you met him, you'd be like, this man is so intelligent. People have said to me, we feel intimidated being around you because of how smart he is. We feel intimidated being around both of you because the intelligence is ridiculous. I think people have said that because they're talking about him. He is so highly intelligent. There's nothing he can't figure out. Like mentally, the way that he's designed, we've likened it to, in a sense, autism at times, where it's just like, how
Okay.
did you just do that? That was miraculous. And he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And thankfully now he's able to give that credit to God. He goes, oh, I don't know, but God gave it to me. He's working on something right now that he should not be able to do, and he's able to do it. And so just the fact that I know without a doubt in my mind that if there's a trouble or anything that comes up, he's always going to have a solution. He just
Sure.
does.
Sure.
He's a protector too, so he's very protective. He'll protect me in ways I don't even know I need protecting. Like I've been in situations with people that were, there were just things that they should not have done or said around me or to me, and he had warned me. And at first it took a while to understand that his warnings were good. And then as a wife now, I'm understanding slowly, but wives struggle with that too. I'm learning that his protection is actually for my good. He will notice things that I don't notice. And so I know I'm guarded, and um I know that he's always going to be able to figure it out. And then the way that he dotes about me, like he genuinely thinks I'm the most beautiful creature in the world. Like genuinely thinks that there's not anything in his mind. There's not anything that could get his attention outside of that. And to have someone who sees you in that way, is such a blessing. He also would say to you that I'm the most intelligent woman he's met. And that, like, how do you, to have that, meaning like you have someone in your life that views you the way that Christ designed you, right?
Yeah.
It's such a blessing to know. And so no matter what we go through, those three things, and then obviously the most important thing for me is that at the end of the day, it's Christ that we both want to honor. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
it's the Lord. And no matter how many things have happened, and he's gone through some mental health struggles in the past, and that's been very difficult, he still clings to Christ. He
Yeah.
still looks for that glimmer of hope of like just walking with him and drawing to him. And whenever he's weak, he's humble, and he tells me, hey, I felt weak here. I wasn't very kind, or I wasn't, whatever it was. And we talk through it because Christ is in it. Like
Yep.
Christ, since Christ rescued him, we have that. And there is nothing in my heart that can break that. So we went through a really tough time this year. I knew nothing could break it because Christ was the center. I knew Christ was going to be glorified. I just knew it. There's nothing, and you could ask anyone in my life who walked with me. They're like, she just kept saying like God was going to be there and he was going
Yeah.
to answer because
Yeah.
he is. In marriage, if you put God first, he's there.
Dang. Dang. That's some truth right there. I love that. I love that. Guys, if you want to hear more about Chynna and Patch and their relationship and their marriage and how it all came together, go back to part 1. It's all in there. It's good stuff. But yeah, everything you said right there, man. Yeah, you put Jesus at the center. I like to tell people marriage is like a pyramid. Put Jesus in the
Yeah.
middle. We're both at the bottom, husband and wife. or Jesus isn't in the middle, put him at the top of the pyramid. You're both at the bottom on each side. If you're both growing closer to Jesus, you're getting closer to each other. And how you describe that right there, that's the difference between the Hollywood version of marriage or the worldly version of marriage and biblical marriage. It isn't about you. Hollywood or cultural marriage just says, bro, it's about my feelings. I'm happy. Well, guess what? There's going to come times where you don't like it. And you may love your spouse, but you don't like your spouse. You're going to have those days. The biblical marriage says it doesn't matter. You honor them, you serve them, you love them. It isn't about you. If you do that, they're doing the same. That gets you through any of those bumps and tough moments in your marriage. I promise you, because it ain't about your happiness, because at some point that's going to run out, and then divorce, find a new one, start, and you just repeat it. And it doesn't work.
Yep.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Do it God's way. It'll work out much better. Okay. I forgot to start the timer, so I don't know where we're at, but we made it through to the What is Up segment. And so you pick some good ones here, and let's I guess I don't know if we got time or not, but let's just start with the pro-life versus pro-choice. This is the initial reason you caught my eye in your social media feed and all that stuff. And your social media is done so well. Like sometimes it's humorous, sometimes, most of the time, it's very heartfelt. Other times it's real, just business minded and promoting your jewelry. But I mean, there's funny posts in there that I can remember. You did like a Trump China post, just him saying China over and over again. And that's very funny. And that's going to help the algorithm, throw that into people's feed. And then there's other ones like when you talked about struggling this past year, when you put out that post and said, hey, if you got your orders in, I'm going to honor them, but we're going to take 2 weeks off and we're going to unplug. We're dealing with families. I was like, that is exactly what you should do. You should just, when life hits you like that and you got stuff you got to deal with in the family, social media, business, all that other stuff is secondary. Family is first, aside from God. Like, that's it. So I love that. Anyway, I don't know how I got going on that, but let's talk about that. That's how you caught my eye, was the whole, how passionate you are in the pro-life movement. And I'd love to just hear, we've both heard all the arguments and that, but just tell me why you're passionate about it. What's your reasoning to be so passionate about it and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think that for one, just coming to Christ and knowing that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, that was a message I didn't have my whole life. And I wondered why I was made. I wondered, I knew I was unplanned. I knew I was an accident in the world's eyes. I knew I was unwanted by at least my biological father, who I didn't even know who that was. I knew that I was unwanted in the sense that I created a burden in my family that was mentioned all throughout my childhood. So when you're in a situation like that, I think it becomes more real that being pro-life is actually saying, hey, you matter. Your life matters. So obviously we know that God creates every single person, every single one of us. And the moment of conception, life happens. And science agrees. There's no way we can doubt that. When that, I think it's called a zinc spark, happens, that light of all man, that's our Lord putting us together in our mother's womb. We're told in the Psalms that, he knit together David in his mother's womb. That's the same for us. It's not just one of us was knit together. We are all knit together. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And there are so many arguments that want to challenge that. Well, what about rape? That God would not, absolutely would not allow life to come from that. That's obviously just sin creating that. Why would you want that? You're telling me that my friends don't matter? Right. You're telling me that maybe even my siblings don't matter if I got deep with you? What are you actually saying? Because actually, every single life was designed, and God brings life out of tragedy. God brings goodness out of darkness. And we're not going to ever create a world that is safe and joyful like they're anticipating if we're going to take one crime and then create another crime on top of that to protect that first crime. We don't need to protect the criminals anymore. We need to protect the unborn life. And so as much as I empathize with people who've been raped, and I understand from a very unfortunately personal perspective on that matter specifically, it's never okay to kill someone because somebody chose to harm someone else. It's just never going to be okay for me. Right. And then there are other cases, what if the mother is about to die? I have never met a mother who is about to die in labor, which happens not as frequently as we think. I've never met a mother who goes, you know what? I was thinking, I'd rather live than her. Like in that moment when she's carried her baby that far. No, in fact, what she says is, my husband and I have decided that if anything happens to me, it's worth it to protect the baby. Mm-hmm. The doctor's job is to know which person is going to survive in that situation and to protect and do whatever they can to protect and keep alive both of those people.
Mhm.
Their job isn't to pick one and go, okay, now you got to die. No, all hands on deck here. Yes, it's going to take a little more work. Yes, one person might not survive, but we're going to do whatever we can to ensure that both people survive. It's like a car wreck with multiple people and one has worse injuries. You're not going to leave the one with the worst injuries. You're going to pull them all out and we're going to rescue. It might take us all day. We're going to do whatever we can.
Mhm.
And so I think the arguments are so silly. The arguments are so skewed. It's one-sided. It's trying to make you feel this deep emotional pull. Like, oh, well, what if it happens?
It's
We're
a
going to
tough
still have,
situation. Yeah.
it's a
That's it.
terrible situation that I would wish on no one. But the doctor's job, when they sign over all of basically their rights to become a doctor and say, this is what I'm going to do, they agree to protect us at all costs. They are not allowed to harm. They're meant to sign a no harm policy. Like they literally cannot harm us. So you can't pick and choose which patient is worth saving, or because this person, this person was born into a certain situation. And a lot of people argue, well, what if they're abused? What if they're mistreated? What if their childhood is awful? Okay, that was me.
Yeah.
So I was a few of those, probably. If we really look at it deeper, like I was probably a few of those. And if we're really going to go into that, was I not worth it? Was my life not worth something? And so at the end of the day, I'm pro-life because I'm alive.
Yeah. There you go. I like it.
That's it.
I like it. Yeah. I think it all comes down to that. Like it's how we value life. If we can prove scientifically that it's life, that there's separate DNA in there, whether the kid is able to conceive pain or consciousness or what, it doesn't matter. We can prove that it's life. All these situations are tough circumstances that they're going to argue. We can get through. We can deal with tough circumstances. They're not perfect. They're not easy. That's why they're tough circumstances. The only one that I give a little bit of ground on, and I'd really love to engage with people on, is that rarest case. Yep. Mom's life is in danger. That's the only reasonable one I could see, a reasonable person after looking at all the evidence that they could say, this one I have trouble with. Who do we protect? All those other ones are just tough, horrible situations, and we can deal with those. Absolutely. It comes down to valuing human life. And to be honest, we just don't value it in this country, in this day and age. We don't like we should. We don't all think that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And I love that, you'll share your views on social media and different things. And there's other people, better at it than you and me, that are real active on social media and are doing really well. And it's just, they're putting that out there. I follow the pro-life doctor.
I got to meet him.
Bill Lyle.
I think it is Bill.
William Lyle, Bill Lyle.
Yep.
Yeah, I've taught Sunday school. I've used them in sermons before, and it basically just comes down to the value of life. And when you realize we can protect these babies, even at the youngest stage of development and all that stuff. But when you have conversations with people, that's what it's going to take. You know what I mean? Live action, you know them, Lila. When they do their man on the street interviews and they meet people who are pro-choice, and they say, would you be willing to just watch an animated, not real, an animated video of a first trimester abortion? And people are moved to tears. They think it's some like painless disposal, like removing cancer or bacteria, or the one I hate here, it's just a clump of cells. Like, okay, let's go in with a camera right now and look at it. And you start seeing this little tiny baby with little hands, arm. You can see the little eyes for. Bro, at a clump of cells, that's like the moment of conception. And we're already saying it's a new life. It's no longer just your body. It's someone else's body. We got that. But when you have those moments with people, those conversations, I had one recently, or my son was having one and he was letting me in on it. And he basically said, he gets down to the point and he says, most abortions, though, they're happening when the baby is the size of a lemon or smaller. And I was like, okay, so you're agreeing that depending on your size, that's your value. I was like, bro, I don't agree with that. So what if it's the size of a lemon? So now we can go ahead and get rid of 93% of all other abortions. We're just gonna do life of the mother, and if you're bigger than a lemon, nope, now you have value. Well, you can't pick and choose when it has value. It either has value or it doesn't. And I'm glad people are in the fight, like people like you, and doing everything you can. And the twisting of things, saying we're harming moms, or the twisting of the words nowadays, women's reproductive. It's all that's how Satan works. That's how, it's
Yep.
confusion, deception. He's the great deceiver. It's like, that's not reproductive health. Reproductive health,
No.
you've had that. My wife I've been to those appointments. I've
Yes.
seen those vitamins. I've talked with those. That's women's reproductive health. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same thing with the
Absolutely.
transgender stuff. Like they call gender affirming care. To me, I
Mm-mm.
call that conversion therapy because you're trying to
Yeah.
change someone from what they naturally are.
Yep.
But no,
Yep.
Christian counseling, biblical common sense counseling rooted in biological fact. No, that's conversion therapy. You're trying to it's the play on words, and that to me that's just got the fingerprints of Satan all over it, right? He
It
twists,
does.
he lies.
Well, it's cool because you said that. I had a conversation a couple days ago. I had multiple, but I was at a campus and I was with TPUSA. I had a just a little booth there, and there were multiple people who walked by and said things about they saw pro woman, pro life, and they shouted things like just shouted him and walked away. Like
Yep.
one kid was shouting,
Yep.
I love abortion," and kind of ran off because they were embarrassed. There's no conversation. If you want to come to me, because then the ones who did come to me and had the conversations, by the end of the conversation, I could see their entire presence softening and them
Mhm.
hearing me just say, "The God of the universe rescued me. That's why I care so much." Because
Yeah.
one girl came up and, was talking to me about saying that I don't understand, what it's like to be her and all the things she was going through. And I said, I might understand more. And I think that's it. They don't want us to have the conversations. They want to throw out language like you're talking about, throw
Yeah.
out this quick language. You're either pro life or you're pro choice. Oh, you're pro life. Ooh, oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
it's just immediate shut her down. Even the algorithms will shut down pro life businesses. I mean, Every Life, We Heart Nutrition, Good Ranchers, any of these companies that have a pro life stance, 7 Weeks Coffee, if they have a pro life stance, they're going to be silent. So they have to put way more work into
Yeah.
their business than any other person knows about because they're constantly working and fighting for their name to be seen. The
Right.
algorithm shut us down, and then the people shut us down, or the comments that come are immediate hatred. The amount of messages we get in our inbox that are just immediately hateful, that they just can't believe that you can't be this, you can't be
Yeah.
pro woman and pro life, but
Yeah.
it's a lie. Let's have the conversation. Let's really talk about it, because if you see a video, even an animated video of what happens, like you said, you're going to tear up. It's not okay. You're not going to
No.
like it. It's
No.
not, because it's not good. And deep down, you're creating the image of God. You know that it's not right.
Right.
It's that simple, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that really kind of bothers me in this is you can have someone who used to be one way, who used to be on one side, and then they come to the other side, whether we're talking pro-life or we're talking gender or sexuality or whatever, and the same thing happens. Well, now that they've switched sides, they don't want to hear from them anymore. You're no longer useful to me. So, like
Mhm.
Abby Johnson, former
Mhm.
Planned Parenthood clinic director.
Yep.
You got all kinds of people. You got former abortionists that work with live action. You've got all these different resources here to say like you can change your opinion, because that's the one thing I hate. I hate when people say don't talk politics or religion because you're never going to change anybody anyway. And it's like I might not change anybody. God changes the hearts, but there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with exchanging idea, because absolutely people do change their opinions on things over time. That is a
Yep.
cop out when you say don't talk about that. And don't ever
Mhm.
ask me not to take my Christian worldview into any area or facet of life. I just preached on this last Sunday, and Pastor Josh Howerton at Lake Point Church, he's been talking about it. Like that's the dumbest thing to say. Don't bring your Christian values into
Mhm.
this area of life or that area. No, people do change all the time, and it's people like us that have to be willing to have those conversations, to care enough and to do it the
Mhm.
right way. You don't got to yell and scream and say you're going to hell or any of that stuff, bro. Show them love, give them the time of day. If we can get back to that point where we can do that, have conversation, whether it's a podcast or a booth at a TPUSA event, I think
Mhm.
conversation is the key. And that leads us into our last one right here. Charlie Kirk, you said, if we got time left, what is up with Charlie Kirk, his legacy, the way things went down at the end there with his assassination, all that stuff, what is
Mm.
up with that? What did he mean to you?
Yeah, when you're running a pro-life business and you know about these people that are speaking up and doing exactly what you want to be doing, sharing their faith and giving people the opportunity to listen to why it's important to be pro-life and listening to their side of why they think that being pro-choice is important. Pro-life and pro-choice was a big part with Charlie for me, where it was like I would watch his teaching, I'd watch his him speaking. I'd watch him with youth, and I would just be so inspired by the way he had conversations. And they reminded me and reflected a lot of what I try to do daily with other people in my life. And when he was killed, I had been in a meeting with a women's pastor, and I just got in my car. My phone had been blowing up and I didn't know what was going on. And so I pulled into my driveway and I turned off my car, and I opened it, and I unintentionally saw it. Someone had sent it to me. So I actually had to
Oh,
see it. And I remember just sitting there, and I just wept, and I was like, in a way, it was like the leader had died, like,
yeah.
and I know that sounds
Mm,
silly, and I know they want
I
us to
know.
say that, but it was like a leader in my life that I'd never met before died. Someone I was so inspired by. And literally 10 minutes later, my husband came in the car, and I was crying, and he told me, he's there for me emotionally. And then he goes, "Hey, I just got to let you know, I just got fired from my job." And literally both of us were like, "I don't care." Like, we didn't even know how we were going to pay our bills. And we're like, "I don't care." Like, I don't care. Like, what does it matter? Does it really matter? Because when you see someone, so not only was that Charlie was not just a leader to me, like on social media, because I never got to meet him face to face, but I have friends who are friends with him.
Yeah.
I have friends who have been mentored by him, friends that worked for him. And to watch that destruction of a person, just like just like you just thought that was what you were going to do. You were just, that's the world we live in. I think it shifted for me. Nothing else matters anymore. Like, you just hurt my friend's friend. You just killed my friend's friend, and you just killed someone I was inspired by every single day.
Yeah.
Someone that I looked up to and hope to meet, someone that inspires our movement. And you don't kill the movement when you kill a leader, though. You just don't. And
Right.
I think that what they thought they accomplished, they actually totally failed. And now we are seeing an increase of people like me who say, "Oh, you lost your job, babe? I don't care." Like, literally, my husband just lost another job. And I think it's because I'm pro-life. I think this is why. I think because I'm so outspoken, they get him,
Mhm.
they get all that they need from him. And then this just happened 2 days ago, but we're still at the same place. We go, "I don't care. There is
Yeah.
nothing the world has to offer me anymore. I want Jesus Christ honored.
Yeah.
I want him reflected in everything I'm doing." And that's what Charlie's death did for the rest of us, the ones who are actually growing from it, instead of, there's obviously, you see a lot online of like, "Oh, we're one side, we're team this, we're team that." And that's
Yeah.
just foolishness. Don't get caught up. Don't forget that the way you felt when he died. And
Yeah.
don't forget what the Holy Spirit of God was telling you when he died, and who you're called to be. Because we all felt it, whether we've talked about it on social media or not. We all felt it, right? You
Yeah.
felt it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough. It was tough. I thought, well, he's just trying to get people to have an open mind and look at the other side, look at a biblical worldview. I mean, most people looked at him politically, and to be honest, yeah, he probably was going to be a president someday. If he really
Mhm.
wanted it, he was going to be a president someday. But
Mhm.
he wasn't. His Christian values are really what got him killed. It wasn't his political stance. I think it was his Christian values. And so, yeah, that shook me a little bit. But one of the things that I really appreciated, because I wasn't big into Charlie in the beginning. I thought he was just a political guy and was going to college campuses. I didn't follow him or anything. I knew who he was. I thought he kind of had weird hair and, kind of, I don't know, just kind of a weird shaped face, or head, kind of like Adam Sandler. I always look at Adam Sandler that way. And, but then, the last few years I started following, I was like, okay, we're basically on the same mission here.
Mhm.
He's way more smarter than me by far. But I noticed listening to him talk, he wasn't gifted. It wasn't like a gift. His speaking was a good gift, but the fact
Mhm.
that he had no college and
Mhm.
he committed to reading, I can't remember what the number of books per year are. He worked at it. He
Yeah.
worked at being educated on not only his stance, but on the other opposing worldviews. And
Yep.
and Frank Turek was guest hosting the Live Free podcast the other day, and I was listening to him talk about it. And he said Charlie looked him up to help biblically mentor him so he could stay sharp. And that's why
Mhm.
Frank was there in Utah with him, because he wanted to really get brushed up on Mormonism and make sure he had all of his facts, fresh in his mind so he could, be the best, most capable position to debate idea and have factual information. And I just thought, yeah, this dude wasn't just some gift that God gave him. He worked for it. He studied for it.
Yeah.
He didn't just go to college, university and get programmed or, take whatever no, he didn't have any of that. He sought truth and the optimal way for human flourishing. And he found it in a relationship with God and biblical principles. And he admitted our country wasn't perfect, but that there were ulterior motives at play here trying to divide us. And yeah, he's missed. He's missed. I had that picture since when I do Zoom, I have to turn my table and my camera and everything like that. But normally my Charlie Kirk, I think they call that the Michael Jordan pose or whatever.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Michael Jordan's logo is that.
Yep.
So my wife had that printed and framed for me, and we keep it down here in the studio just as a reminder. Keep trying to speak biblical truth, no matter what it costs, right? It's
Wow,
costing you
yes.
guys a lot. So
Everything. I feel that every day. Yeah. I always think, and that's something for me. I always think, oh, I shouldn't post this. Oh, I shouldn't let this person follow me. Like people from my husband's work will follow me. I mean, every time. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm like, this is probably it. I mean, every time. And I'm like, well, now they're following me. Maybe I shouldn't post this. But then I feel led to post this. Like it's important that I share this.
Yeah.
And if we lose everything because we're pro-life, shame on you, America, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, we have the whole world. We have Jesus Christ. We have a family. There's nothing you can take from us. Like there's literally, we could be totally satisfied living out of a massive van, traveling the world together. Like you cannot take it from us, And so when I think about it, when I think about him, I'm constantly reminded that, like I said, nothing else matters but following Jesus wholeheartedly, speaking the truth in love, having conversations that are uncomfortable, and fighting for what is right.
Yep.
And that's something I want to be remembered for. I want history to remember that there were people like us who stood up and we just didn't stop no matter what we lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how he was asked that reel was spreading a lot towards the end there of what do you want to be remembered for? What's the most important thing you'd want people to remember? And I can't remember his exact words, but he basically said, my faith in Christ. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to be a political movement. I don't want it to be my change on college campus. He goes, I want it to be my relationship with Jesus, because he ultimately knows that's the most important thing. That's it. That's what matters. I love it.
That's right.
All right. Chynna, I got to thank you for coming on. Both of these episodes have been a blast. It's been great to get to know you. I'm appreciative that you actually, for being someone who's a thriving, growing pro-life jewelry company, made the time to do this podcast. It's been great. Tell people one more time, how can they connect with you on social media, and also how can they find your stuff on the World Wide Web?
Yes, please follow us. We're on Instagram as @Natan.gives. That's NATAN.GIVES. And then our website is www.Natan.gives. And if you follow us on Instagram, we do giveaways all the time, but also I'm very active there. I'd love to be in touch with you if there's anything we talked about and you have questions, or you just want to reach out and have someone talk to. People call me the internet mom. I'm there. I'd love to chat. So reach out anytime.
I love it. I love it. Guys, check it out. Go get you some jewelry. Hopefully we're going to be giving some away on this podcast in honor of her episode, so you can get some. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, have this conversation. It was a lot of fun, really good discussion, especially at the end. I love ending on a serious note, because that's what you got to do. You got to have those hard conversations. I'm sure you encouraged the audience with both parts of your episode, with the things you shared. Hopefully it got people thinking a little bit about what is up when it comes to life. You were really hammering on it at the end. The most important things in life. It ain't our stuff, all right? Mm-hmm. It's our relationship with the Lord, the family he gives us, the foundation for that. I love that. So to my audience, have you ever caught yourself looking around and asking yourself, what is up with some of the stuff going on in the world today? I know for the last 5 years, I know I have. I really have. Are you struggling to figure out what is true, right, and good anymore? Let me tell you, if you want rock solid, never changing truth rather than nonsensical, always changing cultural standards, you gotta look to God and his word, and he will show you what is up. All right. The logo, the arrow in the logo, that's what it's pointing to the Lord. Okay. You gotta look up, get on your knees and look up. The Bible has proven itself to me and to Chynna again and again, time after time, to give the best answers and explanations for why the world is the way it is and why we are the way we are sometimes. It describes our nature as well. There's no better source for truth than that right there. So if you're struggling to find truth and real meaning and purpose in this life, let me make it real simple for you. Chynna already hit on it. You were created in the image of God, and He wants a relationship with you. It's up to us to choose Him. No matter what you got in your past, He wants you. That's why you were made. That's where the best things in life, the things we all really want, the hope, the joy, the peace, the love, that's where it all comes from. It comes from having a relationship with Him. Nothing else on this earth is ever gonna truly satisfy you or fulfill you permanently. We all have a God-shaped hole inside of us, and you can fill it with whatever you want, but nothing fits like a relationship with Jesus. So if you want to go deeper or you want to talk one-on-one, you can reach out to either one of us on social media, or you can email me at whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. I'll make time for you, answer any questions you might have. That is my world right now. I'm just reaching out to people. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you thought of this episode or something that was said here. Help us grow by sharing it. If you think someone needs to hear the message and the conversation that was shared today, share it with family and friends. It would mean a lot to us. So for me and my guest today, Chynna Cochran of the pro-life jewelry company, Natan, we want to thank you so much for listening, and we hope it really encouraged you to look up. Lord willing, I'll talk to you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you, Bubba. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here with you. I'm so excited just to share this podcast with the world. I know that it will speak to many, and I'm honored, I am blessed, and I just hope and pray that each one of you who are listening today will remember that Jesus loves you and He's fighting for you. Don't worry about your past, just cling to Him today.
Amen. Amen to that.